My name is Ronan and I'm a carer for my wife Mary, who has MS, and we have our daughter as well. She has autism and ADHD. My wife was originally diagnosed in 2006, but the nature of her condition is that there was a very slow decline generally in her physical health, and it's only really sort of maybe in the last 5 or 6 years that her health has increasingly deteriorated to the point where she needs physical support. The nature of Mary's condition was such that some days she would feel a lot better than others. Some days she would feel quite well and able to cope, and other days she couldn't. I reduced to 3 days in a week in work, but it was quite difficult sometimes to find the kind of support to step in there when I wasn't there. If I had to, change days off and things like that. My employers were quite good like that, so I was able to do that, for a few years. So I expect if I didn't have that little bit of freedom, I wouldn't have been able to continue working as long as I did. I'm autistic myself. I was diagnosed as an adult, and so I like to be able to kind of have all my ducks in a row, so to speak. And I find that that's one of the skills that at least has come to my to benefit me, because you don't tend to leave things to chance anymore. You make sure everything is in, every possibility, all the sort of dots, I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. I didn't really sort of consider myself for a long time as a carer as such. And it wasn't until there was a few sort of carer services available through the MS Society, but it wasn't until I got closer to actually stopping working or reducing my hours myself that we spoke to Mary's. I spoke to Mary's social worker, who was then able to link me up with the carer support service and other services that were available. The first thing that really caught me about when I started to attend some of the meetings that were some of the carer cafes and the other thing is that a lot of the sort of pretense, you envisage yourself going along and sort of trying to make small talk with people and trying to get to know people for the first time. But it doesn't really, it wasn't really like that then. A lot of that was gone. We all know why we're here, kind of thing. And so it immediately made it a bit easier to connect with people, and the conversations that you were having with people were very familiar, and it's because it's one of the things about caring that I found myself as time has gone on, that it can be quite isolating. Try to get down to the Carers Cafe is once a month, but I've also done some cooking classes, which Mary felt it was very worthwhile for me to go. I could have never. What you're doing is not always that important. It's how you're feeling when you're doing it, And I went and did the cooking course for 6 weeks, and we're all standing around the big flat table and our pennies cut, and it's just good fun. It's good crack, and it does exactly what it needs to do. Is it takes your mind away for a wee while. If you want to chat to other people, you can chat to other people, but if you want to just become engrossed in what the guide is doing, you can do that too, It's things like that are just really, really nice, and there's a day retreat in Dromalis as well. I was fortunate enough to go and do that, and that was really nice as well, It was, very, very relaxing, very, very, very pleasant experience, and definitely you come back from it feeling a bit recharged, definitely. It's amazing the effect it can have. Very rarely come out of it feeling anything other than a wee bit lifted, when you spoke to a few people and you had that wee distraction. I used to do a lot of fishing back in the day, and it was one of those things that when you were out and about and really focused on it, and it took you away, and while you're focusing on one thing, you're not thinking about what's going on at home, and it was when I started changing my role at work to a certain extent, to try and fit in a wee bit more, I started taking on roles that actually put me out on my own a lot more, and that backfired very badly, because I then found myself spending all my working day on my own, and it no longer became the kind of distraction that it used to be to a great extent. And if you're confined in a very small sort of circle of friends or whatever, then suddenly the idea of going out into a new environment and talking to new people can seem like a bit of a real burden. It can seem very, more than it's worth. But I can understand how that could happen, because you can slowly, as you become more and more committed to that caring role, your social circle naturally is going to reduce all the time. And then suddenly you find yourself years and years. Like I meet members I meet other people in the service who maybe the person they're caring for has passed on. And now they're kind of becoming as attached to the service, and starting to kind of expand their social circle a wee bit. It's very difficult I'm sure it must be very difficult in that situation to encourage someone to come to maybe leave the house. And I was only speaking to somebody this morning who I know her husband has dementia, and she said herself she doesn't like leaving them alone for any length of time, and when you're in that situation, you're not really going to consider any alternatives. It's you certainly mightn't even realize the importance of getting out and just detaching yourself from what's going on for a wee while. It's you need to get out and do it to realize how beneficial it could be for you. The respite is a big issue, because I know for myself, even my own wife, she would be very reluctant to have somebody else helping her in some of the areas that she just wouldn't be comfortable with somebody else doing that. So it's not always as straightforward as just encouraging the carer out. I know that sense of responsibility may weigh on them, and they may not feel like they want to. When you do move out a wee bit more and talk to other people, you do start to realise that message of, as I say in the planes, put your own mask on first. If you don't look after yourself, it's very hard for you to be of support for somebody else, but that's easier said than done. I mean, I would have, read a little bit about the subject as well over the years and that, and it always stands out that if you're not really as well as you can be yourself, it's very hard to offer the support to somebody else.